Who will win the NFC East? In this video, I go through the arguments for each team. The Cowboys, Washington, the Eagles, and of course, the New York Giants. In this video, I'm going to break down the pros, the cons, and how each team could potentially win the NFC East. At the end, I will give you the team that I believe will win the NFC East in 2021. Before I predict who will win the NFC East, make sure that you do spike that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more Bottom Line View NFL division breakdowns just like this, and comment below your opinion on who will win the NFC East. Let's kick off the arguments for the NFC East with the team that most people have finishing last, and that is the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't think the Eagles are completely out of the race in 2021. I think they're actually going to be sneaky competitive this year, but that's not to suggest that they're going to be one of the best teams in the NFC. I can see it going either way for the Eagles, which means that they have a large range of outcomes, in my opinion. You look at the quarterback position, and that's really where it starts. I feel like this team has a large range of outcomes because their quarterback has a large range of outcomes, right? Simply just looking at Jalen Hurts and saying, this guy has superstar potential with his ability to run the football. He has this gamer attitude that really we saw on Sundays last year. If he just improves a tad at quarterback, man, he could really be a special quarterback. I believe in the person. I think he's a good leader. I just want to see him be more consistent with his accuracy and with his passing. But if he can do that and he can do enough on the ground as we know he can, then this offense could be much better than we believe. And there's no reason to suggest that it won't be better than last year. They brought in a new offensive head coach in Nick Sirianni. Well, I don't know how good he's going to be as a head coach. He does seem to be on the good side in terms of offensive coordinator and in terms of play calling and in terms of game planning from week to week. I do feel he's going to set up these players in the best position to succeed. The offensive line will be key for this offense. This is a good, solid offensive line across the board. They got back Brandon Brooks, who is one of the best guards in the NFL. That should not be overlooked. Lane Johnson, if he can stay healthy, will be key for this team to win games on Sundays. I think this offensive line needs to be at its best, needs to revert to 2017 form for this team to win the NFC East this year. It's possible, it could happen, it's not out of the realm of possibility, but you do have to deal with some injuries on this line consistently and the age of their center and leader, Jason Kelce. The tight end position still has Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz. Now, I will say, I don't think either one is Zach Ertz of a few years ago, but if Dallas Goedert could break out this year, that would be huge. You have Dallas Goedert, Zach Ertz as a complement, and then potentially Devontae Smith could be the best rookie receiver in the NFL, and I wouldn't be surprised. He might have the best season of all of the rookie receivers. He separates from defenders. He's a great route runner. He seems to understand the nuances already as a very young player and already has a chemistry with his quarterback. So that gives you two legit options. One at tight end, one on the perimeter at wide receiver. Maybe you mix in a Quez Watkins here and there. Hopefully a Jalen Reagor can break out or have a decent year. It doesn't really look like it, but hopefully he can. If he can, that's a huge plus for them. So the offense is interesting. I've always been a Miles Sanders guy, and I do believe as long as he stays healthy, he will be 1,000-yard back. He will have 30, 40 catches. And personally, I think he could be a steal in fantasy if he does stay healthy because he's running behind a good line. So I really see all the elements for potential with this offense. It really comes down to, can they make this potential legitimate, and can Jalen Hurts get the most out of this offense through the air? Because I think the ground game is going to be pretty solid, if not pretty darn good. So the Eagles are good on offense. They're not necessarily bad at all. Then you look at the defensive side of the football, and I think it all starts with the front seven. Now, they're a little bit older, Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham being the two key pieces. They also brought in an old man in Ryan Kerrigan, but he could be in the mix to give them a little bit of pass rush on third downs. Javon Hargrave is kind of lost in the shuffle there, but he's a very good player. Derek Barnett's decent, Sweat's decent, but they have a very deep defensive line, and they're still capable of dominating games. Again, health is key at this stage of the game for many of those players. The linebacker position still leaves something to be desired this year. I don't think it's very fantastic. I don't think it's great. But you do look at Wilson. He could be somebody that takes at least one spot in this linebacking core and elevates it, especially in coverage. Darius Slay needs to be better this year for them to be a NFC East winner, and he could be. I think Anthony Harris certainly upgrades their safety position at the free safety spot and will probably hold it down from giving up big plays. So this defense has potential to be pretty good. Steven Nelson has been pretty decent for the Steelers. Hopefully he can come over and be decent for the Eagles. I'm not sure about the depth in the secondary overall and the linebacking core. I see where this team could be pretty good. I see where they could surprise people. I see where they could win 7, 8, 9 games. And I wouldn't be that surprised by that, but I would be surprised by 10 plus wins. And I do think ultimately it's going to take 10 plus wins to win the NFC East this year. I don't think this division is as bad as people think it is. And I just don't see all of these pieces coming together in the first year of a new head coach in Nick Sirianni. Not to say that it can't happen, but I'm just betting that it probably won't. But if the Eagles finish third or second in this division, honestly, I wouldn't really be that shocked by it. So the Eagles, I'm going to eliminate and say they probably won't win this division, but they'll be exciting to watch. The next team in the NFC East, the New York Giants. The G-Men are probably one of the biggest enigmas in the NFL entering this year. I really can't get a handle of what they are going to be in 2021. I can see them being a good team. Like, I see the picture for the Giants being good. And that revolves around, just like the Eagles, their quarterback. Daniel Jones has to be good this year for the Giants to be a good team. And along with Daniel Jones, I think he needs Kenny Golladay to be healthy. That big time signing in the offseason, he's a legitimate number one option in the red zone on third downs, down the field. That is the guy that can unlock Daniel Jones' ability to throw that deep ball because he has that. Daniel Jones needs to learn to be a little bit more flexible in his game, ad-lib a little bit more, use his legs a little bit more. He can throw the ball and put touch on it. I've seen it. He's tough. I believe in his toughness in the pocket, but move more, create something, use your athleticism. You have it, Daniel Jones. Saquon Barkley also needs to be healthy for this team offensively. He is arguably, when healthy, the best running back in the NFL and the one that creates the most out of nothing. And with this offensive line situation, which is really concerning, I do think that this team needs to be able to overcome that. Part of that will be getting receivers open quickly, with all these guys around Daniel Jones, like Kenny Golladay, like Kadarius Toney in the first round, like Sterling Shepard, like Darius Slayton. These guys need to get open. Evan Ingram, Saquon out of the backfield. If they can quick and Jason Garrett can formulate a game plan that way, then the offensive line won't matter as much. If Daniel Jones uses his legs more, it won't matter as much. So everybody's stressing about the offensive line. It's more than just the O-line. It's about how they formulate this offense. It's about how the quarterback plays. It's about how the running back plays. Saquon's so good. If he's healthy, it doesn't matter who's blocking. He's going to create yardage for himself. He is that special. So those guys put together, they have the potential for an explosive offense. I think those weaknesses are very clear. It's the offensive line. Can they hold up, especially at tackle? It really all over. And then Jason Garrett. Jason Garrett needs to be consistent. Jason Garrett needs to consistently put positive game plans forward for this quarterback and for this offense to put them in a position to succeed. They have the talent at the skill positions, but can Daniel Jones take it and run with it? That is the question. Now, for the defense, I think they're pretty good. I don't think the Giants defense is going to be spectacular. I don't think they're going to be dominant, but I think they'll be good. They'll be borderline top 10. They've got a strong interior defensive line, which is very good versus the run. So that helps them on early downs. Their secondary, on the other hand, third down, second and long, they'll shut things down. They've got perimeter corners who are excellent in James Bradbury, Adoree Jackson. They've got a plethora of safeties that I really, really like, from McKinney to Logan Ryan, the vet, to Peppers. There's so many guys. Julian Love. I really like the depth in the secondary. I like the versatility in the secondary, and I like the scheme overall. I think the coaching, that brings me to that. Joe Judge is an excellent coach. He sets the tone. I think weekly this team plays for him and plays hard, which I really saw last year despite their losing record. And defensively, I think they have something in their DC. I think the Giants can be good, and it really comes down to what will those weaknesses be this year for them. Can they overcome those? Can they improve in those clear deficiencies? Can their play calling improve? Can their quarterback improve? Can their offensive line improve? Can they stay healthy? Those are all things that need to be answered. But ultimately, because I'm deciding who will win the NFC East, they just have more questions than the other two teams in the Cowboys and the Washington football team than I really can bet on, right? I want to like the Giants. I want to be able to bet on the Giants, but I simply cannot because they have not proven to me that they are there yet. That's not to say that they can't take the next step. They very well might. If this team was a wild card team, I wouldn't be shocked. If this team actually got a lot better, I wouldn't be shocked because they have the pieces, but it comes down to the questions, and I'm not sure they've solidified those answers yet. So the Giants, unfortunately, I cannot say will win the NFC East. The next team, the Washington football team, the division winners of 2020. Washington has quietly one of the best rosters in the NFL, and it's kind of fascinating that now ESPN and these outlets are starting to discuss Washington as a legitimate threat in the NFC. I find that fascinating as it feels like the internet, places like TheBottomLineView, that's why you gotta subscribe, are on that quicker than others, especially the BLV Discord, who's been very high on Washington for a very long time, and I get why. Washington has extreme talent on both sides of the ball. I especially like, everybody talks about their defense. I think their offense has explosive ability that is low-key excellent. Terry McLaurin is awesome. I think he is a legitimate top 10 type receiver who is going to take the next step and probably get in that elite tier this year where everybody recognizes him as such. Then you have Curtis Samuel, who they signed this offseason, who's a little bit of a hybrid player. He could play perimeter, he could play in the slot, he could play as a running back even. He's very good with the ball in his hands. He's used to this offense. He's played in the Turner offense before. He might explode as their number 2 wide receiver. I really like the rookie Brown. I think he could be a special player. He's got special speed. All three of these guys got special speed, and that makes them very dangerous at wide receiver. Logan Thomas, they re-signed. Logan Thomas, excellent route runner, went from quarterback to tight end. Good player, man. I think he's underrated at this point. Offensive line is just very solid. You can count on them. Plus, they have good depth, which I really, really like, because at offensive line, when you lose one guy and he's bad, that guy that fills in, that means your offensive line is likely going to take a significant hit. You need depth on the offensive line because the weak link makes you what you are. And I feel Washington has enough depth to overcome that. Running back wise, I like Gibson a lot. I do wish he was in more of a role to catch the ball, but McKissick can get it done as well. One of their true weaknesses is the quarterback position. It's obvious. Everybody talks about it. It's the reason a lot of people don't pick them to win the division. Their quarterback position, Fitzpatrick needs to flatten out these performances. He can't have the spike weeks and then the really down weeks. He just needs to be a game manager. Throw the ball up occasionally and take those risks occasionally, but you know that you can win this game. You can win a lot of games through your defense. And as long as he plays as such, I feel he could be a good quarterback for this team. Be an Alex Smith plus for this team. That's what he needs to do. And I think he can manage that. I think he's gotten better with age. He's gotten smarter with age. He's actually very accurate and kind of very savvy in the pocket and doesn't get enough credit for that. I do feel this offense could be better than people expect. The defense is really, really good. I think they're elite. I think they're top 5. Maybe not number 1, but I do feel they're in that conversation at the very least. They have elite pass rushers with Chase Young and Montez Sweat. They do have an interior defensive line that just bullies people with Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne and Matt Ioannidis, Landon Collins at safety. They drafted Davis in the first round to play linebacker for them. I think he'll upgrade there. William Jackson is a massive upgrade to their number one corner spot, a legitimate shutdown corner. Kendall Fuller is a good player. I think this defense is pretty complete, and Jack Del Rio has done a good job. I like this coaching staff. I think it might be the best, most well-rounded, most experienced staff in the entire NFC East. It's definitely arguable, and I do have a ton of respect for Ron Rivera football. So I think Washington could be that team in the NFC East. But before I decide whether it's Washington, I got to talk about the Dallas Cowboys as potentially that other team that could win this division. The quarterback position, of course, is Dak Prescott. And this is one of their positives, but also one of their negatives. They have the best quarterback in the division. There is no doubt about it. There's no way around it. If anyone denies that, they are just dumb. But Dak Prescott does have some injuries that seem to be bugging me at the moment. I really don't know if he's going to be 100% healthy the entire year. And I've seen this before with the Cowboys. Tony Romo in numerous seasons went down with injury, and that really hurt the team from winning this division. There was numerous times the Cowboys with Romo were the best team in the division, but without him, they weren't. So you can't be both. And that's the same thing with Dak Prescott. They need Dak to be successful. And I feel this offense is explosive, like one of the best in football. Their offensive line is truly elite when they have all the pieces going for them there. And Zeke can be very good. I think he's motivated to be better this year. Tony Pollard, on the other hand, is one of the best backups in football, one of the most explosive backs in the league. And they've got solid tight ends. I think CeeDee's going to take the next step to being elite. Amari Cooper is already there. Michael Gallup's really good. One of the best third receivers in football. Obviously, outside of Dak's injuries, their other question is the defense. How good is this defense going to be? Can they be better than the disaster of 2020? Dan Quinn is brought in to restructure and bring fundamentals back to this defense. Just make sure they're not awful. And I think he can do that. I think they could be better than what they were last year. I look at their front seven. They have plenty of potential there. I am concerned about the interior defensive line, and I'm not sure they're ever going to get great play from that interior line, which might make them susceptible to some running games and to some of the best rushing attacks in the league. But when it comes to defending the pass, I actually think they're going to be better than people expect because they have two good pass rushers on the edge. With Randy Gregory now, I feel he could get around 10 sacks, and I think DeMarcus Lawrence could do the same. So those two players are really talented, and a guy like Basham behind them is not bad. The linebacker position is very, very interesting because we've not seen the best from Jalen Smith the last couple of years. We've not seen the best from Leighton Vander Esch. Can they be at their best is the question. Keanu Neal makes the transformation to a linebacker. He could be good there, maybe. And then, of course, the rookie, Parsons. Parsons is an animal. He's a beast. He could be a difference maker for them. If he can be, that could be the difference from them losing or winning the division. And the secondary is underrated. I think Diggs is pretty good. I think he's going to take that next step. I think the safety position is fairly deep. They got to find the right mix of players. But the cornerback position, I think, is slept on a little bit. Jordan Lewis isn't bad. They've got some young pieces that if they play together and they find that chemistry, I feel like with Dan Quinn now coaching them with stability, they will be fairly good. So I think the defense really rests on the front seven. How good can the front seven be? Because if they're not good, then it doesn't matter how many strides the secondary, the young secondary takes. I think it's up to getting pressure. It's up to stopping the run. It's up to those linebackers specifically to be what we think they should be. And that's the ultimate question. So when you look at the Cowboys and you compare them to Washington, the real question for me is when you decide who's going to win this division, it's the determination of, do you think Dak's going to be healthy? How much better do you think the Dallas defense is? What are the true questions with Washington? Can Washington sustain great defense? And can Fitzpatrick be an upgrade to the quarterback position? And when I look at everything and I sort through everything, and as much as I want to say that the NFL is won through offense in the modern age, I look at Washington and I do feel their offense is fairly good. It's fairly talented. I think Fitz is being slept on a tad bit. I think Fitz is out for revenge with the way that it ended in Miami. And I typically don't like taking the team that won last year in the NFC East, but I actually think I'm going to lean towards Washington here. They have the better roster. I think they have the more complete team. They have less question marks. They feel like their coaching staff is better overall. And I just think it's potential with Dallas that I could see totally. Like, I want Dallas to win this division if I'm being honest with you. But I just think with the Dak injury just lagging and that defense not giving me answers, I feel that I just can't pick them. I think they would have won the division last year, probably. But now you're talking about a Washington team that's just way better than they were a year ago. I actually think so. So I'm going to go with Washington here to win 10-ish games. And I think Dallas will be right behind them and competing with them every step of the way. But I really look at Washington as one of the most complete teams in the NFC. So I'm going to take the Washington football team to win the NFC East in 2021. Let me know in the comments if you agree with me or if you disagree with me. I totally could see where you disagree and why you disagree, but let me know why in the comment section below. It's Mitch, and look out for the rest of this series gearing up towards the 2021 NFL season. Peace.